The line is starting to move more South Carolina friendly, which I find interesting. What do you guys take from that? Because I know you're both degenerate gamblers, you just don't talk about it. What do you take from the line shrinking? It's very pro Carolina. I mean, A&M still favored, but it's moved toward more people putting their dough on Carolina. What do you think there, fellas?
I mean, I think there's been some rumors out there about possibly more injuries to A&M, particularly on their offensive line, and a lot of that stuff has not been confirmed that I have seen, but there have been, um, rumors about multiple injuries on their offensive line. So I think that's got something to do with it. It also, I don't know, maybe people just aren't that high on A&M right now. I think you look at sort of the momentum of this game, and before the season, I mean, this probably would have been a 2 touchdown line, I feel like. Like, it would have been very, very heavy towards Texas A&M, and now you look at it, it's sorta creeped down. I think it opened, depending on where you looked, at like, 4 on Sunday, and, I think a night game, a home game for South Carolina obviously plays in, and, the Gamecocks maybe just have a little bit of momentum as far as the perception, whereas the perception of A&M right now, even though they're still a talented bunch, is just I feel like just not very positive in the general sports collective right now.
Yeah, I think the line started fairly low because this is an A&M team that in a lot of ways has been disappointing, Um, they've had very uneven quarterback play. Defensively, they've still been pretty good except for, I guess you could say, the Mississippi State game. Mississippi State has caused a lot of people problems, not Kentucky, but they've caused a lot of people problems so far this season. But the injury situation, the fact that they haven't played all that well. I mean, you look at A&M, they've turned the ball over a lot offensively, which is interestingly pretty similar to Carolina. And in Power 5 games, they just haven't been scoring points. In fact, the highest point total they have this season is 31. That was against Sam Houston State in their opener. Other than that, their highest point total, I think, was 24, and that was in a loss to
Mhm.
Mississippi State. So, struggled against App State, scored 17 against Miami. I mean, just not an offense that's doing a lot. So it kind of makes sense that the line started that way. I think it's crept down because, obviously Vegas knows more than we do. Come down a little bit. I agree with Wes on the reasoning. There's maybe some injury uncertainties, some quarterback uncertainty because Jimbo Fisher has left the door open. Even though he says Haynes King, their starter, will go, he did get banged up, it appeared, against Bama, and he left the door open for Connor Wegman, their freshman, true freshman, to play some in this game.
I truly believe if you gave Texas A&M's offense 8 downs, they couldn't get a first down. I'm a firm believer in that philosophy. Look, you start at the quarterback position with A&M. Haynes King in that first game against Sam Houston State hit 2 deep balls down the field, and everybody was giddy. Oh, look at Haynes King open up the offense, but he also threw the ball to Sam Houston State a couple times. What TD interception ratio 5-5, right, with Haynes
Mhm.
King. So Haynes King likes to giveth when he's on the field,
He
which is a
does.
good thing.
He does.
Um, and the thing is, too, there's a lot of talk. You guys have read it about Jimbo Fisher not wanting to change his offense and not wanting to change what he asks for his quarterbacks and kind of, hey, Jimbo, come on in the new millennium with the rest of us. And Jimbo just doesn't want to do it. And how much do you think? Yeah, we can say it's a Haynes King thing, or when Max Johnson was playing, it's a Max Johnson thing. Is this really a Jimbo Fisher thing more than anything else, fellas?
I mean, I think there's an argument to be made of that because you look at A&M, even before Jimbo Fisher, I mean, there's never been a problem getting quarterbacks who were highly rated. I mean, at times it almost felt like they had too many guys that were highly rated, and there's just always a controversy about who should be playing there. I think Jimbo, I think he did a good job with Kellen Mond, and sort of later in Kellen Mond's career, you kind of saw um, his upside shine through. And I'm looking at that through a prism of just watching those guys just smash South Carolina. So, that's part of it from my perspective. But yeah, I think anytime, especially in modern football, you run an offense that takes quite a bit of time for your quarterbacks to get comfortable, and then fans are watching. Um, let's take Tennessee for an example. They bring in a transfer quarterback, and last year he just hits the ground, takes off running, and looks fantastic in it. Fans are going to compare how quickly highly rated guys can get on the field at their school versus other schools. And they're going to look at the best case scenario, which would be, like Tennessee is. It's not, I don't care what offense you run. I don't think it's ever easy, but I think it's certainly a valid thought to say that Jimbo has been pretty much running this scheme as long as I can remember. I'm sure he's tweaked it over the years, but it looks for the most part to be pretty similar. And when you're not having results, people are going to start to ask questions. And also, when you're paid what he is to come in and be a quote offensive genius or whatever it is that he used to be called, people are going to point fingers when it looks like this and they're watching other teams go up and down the field.
And he's, Jimbo's track record actually recently with quarterbacks, Mond was kind of an exception to that rule. The end of his tenure at Florida State, I mean, after Jameis Winston, their quarterback recruiting really went in the toilet. That's the best way I can put it. And it wasn't like he was grabbing a bunch of no names. Sometimes it was guys that had a lot of offers or were highly ranked, and they just didn't work out. Sometimes it was some injury bad luck or a guy got in trouble, but he just had a stretch where it didn't go well. Well, now you bring in Max Johnson from LSU. He's injured. He's out of the picture now. Haynes King was a big-time prospect out of Texas. Connor Wegman was a 4 or 5-star guy and one of the top, 50 guys in the country, but he's a true freshman. So that goes back to what Wes said of, integrating the guys into this offense and taking too long maybe to do that, and that's a good point. But the other thing, I mean, holding them back, the turnover issue, you mentioned Haynes King and how he has shown an ability or a desire to give the ball to the other team at times this season, and that has hurt them. I mean, look at the App State game. They lose that game. They turned the ball over twice. App State didn't turn it over. And there are some remarkable stats in that game. It almost doesn't seem real. A&M had 9 first downs.
Yeah.
In the whole game. They had 180 yards, and they possessed the ball for 18 minutes.
I was going to say they couldn't get the ball. App State had the ball for like almost 42 minutes in that game. It was crazy. Just crazy.
And A&M ran 39 plays on offense. I honestly have never heard of a total that low. 39 plays.
Think about
39.
that in the context
How?
of
I don't know.
Quarter game. And college football games now go 4 to 9 hours, depending on first downs. You ran 39 plays.
39 plays, and they had 7 penalties on those plays, and they turned the ball over twice. You can't win. They still only lost by 3.
Yeah,
I'm not a math expert, but
that seems bad.
when you have 10 plays per quarter, just a little bit less than 10 plays, that's a pretty bad recipe.
And then they turn 4-1. They lose the turnover margin against Mississippi State. And look, we talk about the Bama game. That's the one where you want, okay, if you didn't get to watch like the entire thing and really, really dive in, or even if you needed to go rewatch it like I did, you go, how do they keep it this close? Number one, I think Bama has some real issues that have been exposed, but A&M won the turnover battle in that game 4-1.
Yeah.
4-1. And Bama missed 2 very makeable field goals. I think they missed a 35-yard field goal and one from like somewhere between 42 and 47. A&M got 2 of their touchdowns off of turnovers from Bama in Bama territory. So that to me, as a little preview, it is easy in every game to say, oh, well, if you run the ball, stop the run, and you win turnover margin, you're going to win. But sometimes it's amplified.
Yes.
And so for 2 teams that when they've struggled, South Carolina has actually been, I would say, better than A&M on offense. I don't think that's controversial to say at all.
I would totally agree. Yeah.
But when they've struggled, it has been because of turnovers. A&M has struggled for a lot of reasons, but that one of their kind of boogeymen so far has been turnovers as well.
It feels like, Jimbo's got to do what Nick Saban did. Evolve. It's this E word. I mean, if you asked Nick Saban 10 years ago that his quarterbacks would be throwing the ball 50 times a game, Nick might have gone into convulsions and had a seizure. And now, that's what Alabama does. They've evolved. Jimbo's got to understand that he needs to evolve. That his offense is kind of like stuck in neutral, in the mud, in a tar pit, and it's time to take a step back and make your offense more friendly to your talent instead of trying to force your talent to play your offense. All right, we're going to get back in here. Let's focus on South Carolina, fellas. Marcus Satterfield at the mic yesterday, and we always love talking about the Gamecock offense, right? That's kind of what we do. So let's get into some Gamecock offense. We also have Texas A&M USC tickets to give away during this hour. Any way you guys want to do that, since you've taken over the station for an hour, so come up with a ticket idea. Just wow, you guys are in. All right, good day.
Caller number trivia. What
We're I'm trying to get creative over here. It may take a break for us to figure this
obviously.
Yeah, I just kind of sprung that on you. And they said, give me an idea. And you both looked at me like, well, hell, man, you just said it. Give me a second.
I thought you meant give me an idea like later, not this exact second. But
yeah, we'll do that.
Actually, if you come up here and beat on the window at the state.
I've got some old school ideas in my head of things we used to do back in the day that would get us all A, fired, B, fined, C, arrested. But they would have been a ton of fun.
Yes.
We just can't do any of them now. So we'll come up with an idea to give you some A&M Carolina tickets for this Saturday night. We'll get back in here. Let's talk about the Gamecock offense. Marcus Satterfield at the mic yesterday. We'll play a little set and also talk about the offense going into the A&M game next. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover. Terry Ford hanging in for Pearson. But Chris and Wes, they're here, and we roll till noon on 107.5 The Game.
The early game with Bill Gunter and Jen Jensen.
Aside from you bragging that you picked the winner, I don't know if we mentioned who actually won the race or what it meant for the actual playoffs. We more discussed the fight.
Yeah. And that's why it would have been more block game material.
All right. That's why she's the producer, and I just sit here in my little
yeah. I don't ever make a producer mad. Just go with the flow.
You're a wise man.
The fight back and forth over the mic would probably not be what people want to hear.
On your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
This is Damon Amendolara with your CBS Sports Minute. The Padres absolutely had to have Game 2. Having already lost home field in the opener and trailing 4-0 in the second inning, it felt like the swinging Friars would be swinging the golf club soon. But the offense came to life in the bottom of the fifth, putting up a 5 spot, and San Diego stayed classy for another day. This is Damon Amendolara.
2000, 2008, 2022. When it comes to the economy, those are some scary years. .com crash, housing crash, and the roller coaster we're going through right now. It's a dangerous time to not know your numbers. But over 31,000 businesses have the confidence and clarity they need because they rely on NetSuite by Oracle, the #1 cloud financial system. NetSuite gives you visibility and control of financials, inventory, HR, planning, and budgeting. Manage risk, get reliable forecasts, improve margins. Everything you need all in one place. So, how do you prepare for uncertain times? The answer, NetSuite. NetSuite helps you identify rising costs, automate your business processes, and easily see where to save money. That's why 93% of customers say they improved their visibility and control when they upgraded to NetSuite. What are you waiting for? NetSuite is offering a one-of-a-kind flexible financing program. Head to netsuite.com/play. netsuite.com/play.
The wait is over. New Chevys are on the lot now, and more are on the way to Herndon Chevrolet. These vehicles are in demand and selling fast, so don't miss out. Stop by your hometown Chevy dealer and shop all your favorite models at prices you'll love. Find new roads at Herndon Chevrolet or visit us online at herndonchevy.com today.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile, smile.
Got an appetite for football? Football Saturday and Sundays are back, and you can catch games all day at Twin Peaks. Grab a 29-degree draft and check out our scratch menu. Visiting during the week? No one does happy hour like Twin Peaks. Whatever your preference, we have everything from tequila cocktails and an extensive bourbon menu category to top shelf spirits and cocktails served over ice. Local craft beers and handcrafted whiskey cocktails round out an adventurous drink menu second to none. And don't forget about our 29-degree man-sized drafts.
Here's another remarkable success story from QC Kinetics. This one from Chad, who hurt his knee at the gym one day, and it just kept on hurting. for months.
From my high school football and wrestling days, I already had a little bit of damage in there, but this just sent it over the edge.
Chad tried traditional treatments with no improvement when he turned to the non-surgical regenerative treatments at QC Kinetics.
It was really fascinating how they did their work, and the science behind it was very intriguing, and it works. Extracting the cure out of my own body blew my mind. It's like I'm brand new again. It was fantastic.
That's because the QC Kinetics natural biologic treatments use your body's own healing power to restore damaged tissue in your hips, shoulders, back, and knees, providing long-lasting relief.
Now I'm back at the gym. I'm 100% feeling great.
If you're tired of suffering with pain from arthritis or injury, call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 803-281-6860. That's 803-281-6860. 803-281-6860.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required. Refund available for 60 days after purchase.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. You'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. Results are guaranteed or your money back. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs, founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler, Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell on the home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
Terry Ford hanging in for Pearson today. We'll be back tomorrow. Gamecock Central Takeover. We go till noon. You're on 107.5 The Game. Wes is here, though. Chris is here. And let me make sure I got you guys turned on. Look at me. I'm on a roll. Well, let's not get crazy. All heck could break loose at any minute.
2 for 2.
Yeah, look at me. you had to ruin the juju there, Wes. Thanks. You know what'll happen next time, guys? Guys, can I hear you? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Marcus Satterfield at the mic yesterday talking about obviously the upcoming South Carolina Texas A&M game, and Marcus was asked about the I word that we all love so much when it comes to the offense, identity. And here is the little Q&A back and forth with Marcus talking about the offense at this point after 6 games.
Marcus, I guess kind of to that in terms of the progression of this offense, when you look at this group from now compared to week 1 against Georgia State, I guess what stands out? What do you feel like has changed? What's different? What's better?
I watched that game during the open week, and I see I about threw up. It was bad. And so I can see your all's vision and you know, what you're asking me, why you're asking me certain questions. But I don't want to sound like a broken record and a typical coach, but I mean, these kids, they just, like the O-line, all they hear about is how bad they are and how they suck, but it doesn't faze them. They just keep working, keep grinding. Spencer, you know, our coaches, staff, everybody, we just keep working, keep grinding. We know we have a long way to go, but I think it's just the commitment to work and to develop and to improve that we're all focused on. I think that's allowing us to see small gains from week to week. And I think hopefully it can continue to show up.
All right, so that's Marcus Satterfield's thoughts on the offense halfway through the year. Where are you guys at? I mean, Sat brought up the offensive line has gotten much better. Well, we'll just start there. Offensive line, it feels like it has gotten much better, right?
Yeah, I don't think what a team is in game 1 has to be what it is in game 6, game 7, or game 12. You know, sometimes we've seen that. Like you can see some alarming things in game 1 that do continue as trends throughout the season, and that's what you want to avoid. But I walked away from the Georgia State game thinking the offense did not play well, but I didn't walk away saying this is just the way it's going to be, you know. And I think even the next couple of games, you could see that there were some things in there that South Carolina had to get cleaned up, and I think they've cleaned up some things along the way. There's still some big ones now that they're going to have to fix going forward. And the two that I've been going to this well often lately is they've got to cut down on turnovers and they've got to cut down on negative plays. Both of those metrics are way too high. When they're not doing those things, and those are important things, they are pretty good, actually. Not even, I mean, take out, SC State, Charlotte. They still dominated those teams. That's what you're supposed to do. You don't penalize a team for dominating a lesser team. They played pretty well against a Kentucky defense that has proved itself pretty good, right? They did some things against Arkansas. They obviously struggled against Georgia. But Shane Beamer's even been quick to point out that, hey, I know you guys are going to think I'm crazy, but we saw some things against Georgia that even encouraged us despite how that game went.
Yeah, I think my big thing is, could this team run the football against SEC teams? And I think we watched game one, and I'm sitting there going, they still can't run the football. And this is not an SEC team, obviously. That was my biggest concern coming out of game one. I thought, are there going to be some situations where the passing game, kind of the I guess timing is a little bit off? I think that's kind of to be expected. And Beamer even said that was one of the things going into week one that they were curious to see, is the timing where it needs to be with these receivers and Spencer Rattler. But we're not able to run the football in that game. And then you kind of heard that thing about, well, that's actually a really good Georgia State front. And then you watch other teams, have a lot of success against Georgia State.
Yeah, I noticed that too, Wes. It was kind of funny how that.
I was like, yes, but no. And, I think you go into Arkansas game, and that was very much a pass first game plan for South Carolina. But when they ran it, I don't think that was coach speak where the coaches were saying we saw some good things in the running. If you go back and look at when they actually tried to run the football, you're going, well, there was some success. They should have probably stuck with it a little bit more. And so I think what we saw is they kind of started to find themselves in the 2 weeks against the lesser opponents, but then you were still saying, can they run the ball against Kentucky's defense? And that to me is where fans should be most, I would say, optimistic about this offense actually having progress and the offensive line actually making progress, is watching the Kentucky game. This is a team, I'm looking, their run defense is pretty good in the conference numbers. They're fourth in the conference right now in yards allowed on the ground per game. So you look at that and you say, wow, guys ran the football pretty well. A&M has not stopped the run very well this year.
No, 115th, I think, in the nation.
Yeah, so I think that's another opportunity for you to say, and I think, identity, we'll talk about that, I'm sure, a little bit more, but getting Marshawn Lloyd going is pretty much been the key to this offense making progress. But some of that's been Lloyd, some of that has definitely been the offensive line. So as much as we like to throw shade at the O-line, I think it's fair to give them credit as well.
Yeah, and I was two things. One, the offensive line. I believe it was the South Carolina State game. They ran the same power package. They ran the same play, I think, and you guys had the stat on your site. 50% of the time, they just ran the same play or the same power package. It's look, they're not stopping it. Let's just keep running it. What an idea! What a crazy idea! Let's keep running it till they stop it. So I think they started to find, even though. I'm sorry. It was the Charlotte game. That's where that number came up.
Right. Yeah.
And so they found something, and I'll give Shane Beamer credit for this, because Shane Beamer looked at Marcus Satterfield before the Charlotte game and said, we're going to run the rock 40 times. Right, Sat? Good. I'll be counting. They ran it exactly 40 times. I thought was interesting. It felt like early in the year, and I'll ask you guys this. It felt like, okay, we got this shiny 5-star quarterback that we now have at our university. He can wing it. He can sling it. We saw him his first year at Oklahoma and how that went. This is our guy we can maybe run this offense through. And it felt like there was an attempt more to do that early in the year. And Spencer, and we'll talk about this later, that just wasn't happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like Spencer Rattler was trying to, hit 80-yard plays, every time he dropped back to throw. It just felt like he was trying to do way too much. Then all of a sudden, run it 40 times, Sat, Marshawn Lloyd got going. Then all of a sudden you feel like, wait a minute, this might be the dude to run the offense through. All of a sudden, Rattler, and again, he's still, to your point, there's too many turnovers, Chris. And the first half against Kentucky, the whole offense kind of bogged down when you have under 100 total yards, but the second half, over 200 total yards. It feels like, though, they kind of got their way with, let's run the offense through this guy wearing the number 1 jersey. And all of a sudden, Spencer Rattler isn't trying to do too much anymore. The offensive line seems to be doing things they can do instead of asking them to do things they really can't do. And all of a sudden, you have something on offense. I mean, I've had way too much Bailey's and coffee, but have I lost my mind? Help me out.
No, not at all. I totally agree that they have definitely, not even probably, shifted, I think, how they've structured the team into what it really should be. And I thought, mea culpa for me, I mean, I thought going into the year, I still had questions about the run game. And so you look at the fact that, hey, the receiving corps should be better. Hey, they have these tight ends. There's no Kevin Harris. There's no Zaquandre White. Marshawn Lloyd has a chance to be really good, but he hasn't shown it yet. This team hasn't shown it yet. And you have Spencer Rattler. So it makes sense to, hey, maybe they go let Rattler sling it and you pass to set up the run. But in reality, it needed to be the opposite. And you mentioned Spencer's 2020 season at Oklahoma. Huge year. I think he completed like 70% of his passes, 3,000 yards, very efficient. Well, look on the other side of that. Oklahoma ran the ball more than they passed it.
Yep.
So they were very balanced.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of playmakers there. So what they needed to do actually was take some of the pressure off of Spencer. Sat even mentioned early in the year, hey, when you have a guy with Spencer's arm talent, he can make any throw. It can be, what was the word he used? Intoxicating. It was something like that.
Addicting or
addicting. I think it was addicting.
Was it?
Yeah. And because I can call this play and this guy can execute it. If it hits, it's going to be
well,
a
that's
touchdown.
pretty how he threw that. Right, exactly.
So, but Spencer was pressing, and I think maybe the staff was pressing, and now that they've shown that they can run the ball, they've pared down their personnel packages, who's playing at receiver. It's come together more now.
Yeah, I think you look back, we were all probably saying, the excitement level around watching Spencer Rattler play in a South Carolina uniform for the fan base. I mean, it was talked about all offseason. It was, let's let this guy go throw it around the yard. And I think the running game, they always say is a quarterback's best friend, but I think it's also an offensive line's best friend.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one thing to ask this offensive line to just pass protect, especially if the opponent knows that you're throwing. It's another thing completely to ask them to pass protect if you've established the run. And I think what we've seen from this group is, one, they being in their second year in this scheme, I think have gotten a lot more comfortable executing, those run plays. And yet you don't need a ton of, quote, different run plays if you drill it down and execute the ones and figure out which ones you do best. And then you just out execute your opponent. And so I think what we're seeing is they're putting themselves in a lot less 2nd and 10s and 3rd and 9s. And those are when you have those plays where people online are saying, well, this O-line stinks. Well, it's because the opponent knows you have to throw, and they're just, widening out their pass rush, and they're just pinning their ears back and going. If you can keep that balance, then it definitely plays into the hands of the O-line. And I think all those things are connected. There will be a game at some point where they have to put the ball in Rattler's hands, and they have to trust the O-line to try and, just go out and pass protect when they're playing from behind or something. But so far, and I think again this week, y'all, this could be an opportunity where they go out, once again, stick to the game plan. You don't have to necessarily overthink it. Try to get one going, get him the football, and then just build off that and just stay in this game. Because I don't know if y'all realize this, but the last 2 times they've played, it has been 41-0 before South Carolina has scored a point. So it'll be progress just to end the first quarter and look around and be like, all right, everybody relax. We're in this.
Right. We're in the game. Good. I think offensive linemen, fellas, you know this. You've been following this forever. Offensive lineman, if you did an offensive lineman survey, they'd rather run block any day because they're being the aggressor. They're attacking the defense. When you're pass protecting, you're counterpunching all the time. So, yeah, offensive linemen love to fire off the ball in the run game. Absolutely. And it feels like that's the strength of this offensive line. All right, you guys have any recruiting news we can get to in the next segment? Maybe some people visiting. I know you guys have microphones hidden in every teenager's house in America.
Yeah, we're still building out and learning more about the visitor list because it should be pretty large, number one, and two, pretty impressive. But we do have some early names we could pass along.
Then why don't we do that next? We'll get some recruiting news from Chris and Wes. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Terry Ford hanging in for Pearson. We're rolling till noon with the fellas right here on 107.5 The Game.
South Carolina fans, this is DeCarrion Jordan. The Garnet Trust is connecting fans like you with athletes like myself through NIL deals. Head on over to GarnetTrust.com to find out how you can support me and my teammates for as little as $10.
As a business owner, it's important your customers have the best experience possible. That includes a convenient place to park. Schroeder's Towing can help keep your lot and designated spaces available. The last thing you want is your customers to go somewhere else simply because they have no place to park. Schroeder's offers free signage to deter unwanted parking and removal of abandoned vehicles. They have your back 24/7. Schroeder's Towing, 1,100 5-star Google reviews, can't be wrong. 772-7930. 772-7930.
Schroeder's Towing, best hookers in town.
This football season and every football season, come to campus and catch a game. Whatever the game, whoever you're with, just catch a game. Find your tickets online at GamecockSonline.com.
Back with Travis Bedson, owner of CNT Foundations. Travis, is there really a difference in foundation repair companies?
Absolutely, Gary. And choosing the wrong one can be costly. What sets us apart is that we're real, local general contractors offering homeowners lifetime solutions, and we value customer satisfaction over customer volume.
Call 803-805-8044. CNT Foundations, your foundation experts.
Hey guys, it's me, wrestling legend Ric Flair, and I'm on a mission to help millions of guys put more flair down there with Mount Everest. Unlike generic ED treatment programs that can take up to 60 minutes to work, Mount Everest can have you standing at attention in as little as 5 minutes. You'll have an absolutely mind-blowing experience every time. That's because only Mount Everest offers a unique 3-in-1 custom compounded medication. Mount Everest will make you a kiss-stealing, wheeling-dealing son of a gun like me every night. Don't lose another night to ED. Put some flair down there with Mount Everest. Woo!
See if Mount Everest is right for you. Go to joinnuimage.com now and use promo code RADIO to save 20%. That's join, the letters NU, image.com and use promo code RADIO to save 20%. Go to joinnuimage.com and save 20% with promo code RADIO.
O'Reilly. It's Super Start Battery Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Get up to a $25 gift card after a mail-in rebate with the purchase of select Super Start batteries. For power, performance, and reliability, choose Super Start batteries. We also have battery solutions for many hybrid and electric vehicles. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The best part about taking ZQuil Pure Z's Sleep Plus Next Day Energy at night is actually the next morning. I wake up alert with none of the grogginess from taking too much melatonin. Pure Z Sleep Plus Next Day Energy is a bilayer tablet with immediate release melatonin and extended release B vitamins to help me fall asleep naturally and wake refreshed. It's my secret weapon for a great night's sleep and a great morning.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Mom.
Can't beat that.
ZQuil Pure Z's Gummies. Sleep better, wake your best.
Sponsored by Audible. This fall, find everything you love listening to on Audible. From memoirs and true crime to celebrities and sci-fi. Audible is the home of storytelling, audiobooks, podcasts, and originals. Sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs, founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler, Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell on the home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Terry Ford hanging in for Pearson Day. He'll be back tomorrow. We have A&M Carolina tickets to give away at some point this hour as well. We've come up with a lot of really good ideas that would get us arrested. So we're probably going to frown upon those because that's all fun until you actually have to get bail money. I mean, I've heard.
No personal knowledge at all.
Not at all. I don't have any stories. Just I've read stuff on the internet. All right, so we'll have those tickets to go away here in just a little bit. So be set for that. Also, there are some recruiting visits this weekend. You guys have written on some of the stuff on Gamecock Central about some of the players that USC has the bullseye on. But please give us the what you have right now, because I know it's going to evolve. I know it's going to expand and all that. But what do you have so far right now? Recruits visiting this weekend.
Well, they're going to have guys from multiple classes that are priorities or will be priorities into the future. So, like you said, Terry, list is still being built out, still finalizing that before we publish it. But a few names to watch here. There will be some commitments in town. Lots of guys probably from the 2023 class. One key one in the 23 class, this current cycle, Terrence Love, who is an Auburn commitment, could play at high school level. He can play receiver, DB. Probably with his size and his profile, a linebacker at the next level. South Carolina thinks that he could be a linebacker at the next level. They're still looking, whether it's in high school or eventually in the transfer portal, for some additional help there. So he's a guy that's been committed to Auburn. Not sure if you guys have heard or read. They've had some issues in Auburn this year.
Really? Have they?
So there's the door is open there, and Love is someone that they offered earlier this year, I think right before the season, and they've had a little traction with him, but one of the keys has been getting him on campus. So if they can get him on campus for this game, that'll be his first trip. You look at the 2024 class, a couple guys mentioned there, Jaden Bradford, who plays high school ball now at IMG Academy in Florida, but is a Chapin native. He's scheduled to be back on campus. He's been here a bunch. And then a big-time running back out of Florida, Anthony Carey, who has also been on campus before. He will be visiting for the game as well. 2025, one of the guys to watch in-state, Lake City's Amari Adams, a defensive lineman who already has South Carolina, Georgia, a bunch of other offers that have come his way or will come his way. So just a few names to watch there, and there will be more that are added to the list up until kickoff.
All right, Wes, out of some of those players, I mean, we brought up the kid that's an Auburn commit. Anybody else in there that we should keep our eye on? Maybe an under-the-radar visitor that you maybe think in maybe a year we'll be going, wow, glad Carolina's on that guy?
Yeah, I think you look at that, and a lot of times, like when Chris says 2025, people maybe turn the radio off or they just tune out for a little bit because it makes you feel really old to even think about that number. But I think a lot of times this process starts so early that these will be the guys that, a year and a half from now, the fans will be eating up every sentence about them, because these are the guys that right now they're young, but you have to identify who are going to be the top targets way down the road. So you look at Amari Adams, like Chris said, in-state kid. This state produces defensive linemen. Like, it's a smaller state, but it always produces defensive linemen. I think Amari Adams is the next big guy in line that we're going to be talking about a year from now as being a 4-star prospect, as being, an SEC guy that all the schools want. So, I think any of the 2025s that are getting invited this early, that usually means they have a chance and that they're, potentially going to be big time targets. So I would look that the list we'll hope to have it updated by this evening. And I think it's going to be a very high list as far as quantity and quality, because it's an SEC game, obviously, but it's a night game. So it makes it a lot easier for these prospects to logistically get to campus after playing a game on Friday nights, a lot of them, versus a noon game where you get home late on Friday, you go to bed, you got to get transportation. Maybe if you're 3 hours away, it's just not as easy to get here.
All right. Also, I read on you guys' site and some other places about the quarterback Sellers. I guess the 3-star in-state that Marcus Satterfield went and watched.
Yes.
And he could end up being Sellers, possibly a 4-star before it's all said and done. If, we got somebody listening going, who the bleep is Sellers? Kind of give a little info on this in-state quarterback recruit that South Carolina obviously has some interest in.
Yeah, they are interested. Lenora Sellers actually wrote about him last night. They can check that out on Gamecock Central. He is at South Florence. And so Satterfield watched him on Friday. And this this may be the kid in state who has sort of seen their recruiting stock raised the most this year as a senior. He's had a great senior year, has protected the football while also scoring a bunch of points. He actually had 9 touchdowns in a game a couple of weeks ago, and with Dino Babers watching him, the Syracuse coach. So, I think no offer yet, but this is much more than just like a courtesy visit. You'll see sometimes in-state kid maybe that doesn't have an offer. Coaches will be like, "Oh, let's do our due diligence," but an offer maybe isn't likely. In this case, from what I've heard, an offer is a very real possibility. It has not happened yet as of right this second, but it is a possibility. He's a big-armed kid, 6'2", over 200 pounds. He's got some size to him. He's wired the right way, has all the intangibles you're looking for. And our guys at On 3, Charles Power, who I think does as good a job as anybody at evaluating players, he loves the kid. So he's kind of been pushing for the possibility of him ultimately being a 4-star.
All right, good deal. We will get back in, obviously, in the next segment. Focus back on South Carolina and Texas A&M this Saturday. Also, our ticket giveaway is happening here in just a minute for Texas A&M and Carolina Saturday night at Williams-Brice. But see, if I knew what I was doing sitting over here running this show, I would have come over and said, hey, going into the next commercial break, we're going to do the Gamecock moving read. But since I did not do that, hey, Wes, do the Gamecock moving read before we go to break and give away the tickets. How smooth am I? Look at this smooth guy over here.
You're assuming that Pearson never gives me a heads up either. So I'm used to this. And I luckily, y'all, I can personally speak to Gamecock Moving in that they I've worked with them. They actually helped me and my fiance literally take all of our junk. They packed it up for us. They put it on a truck. They transported it to a new house, and then they unpacked it for us, which was incredibly relaxing compared to the usual moving process. They can do the same for you. GamecockMoving.com, 803-814-3569. You can call that number. You can text that number. Either way, they have residential and commercial moving services, licensed, bonded, and insured anywhere in the state of South Carolina, and they can coordinate out-of-state moves as well. Again, GamecockMoving.com. They helped me. They can do the same for you. 803-814-3569.
Okay, what the heck? We just do a caller number, whatever, because that won't get us arrested.
Yeah, caller number 3.
Caller number 3. We like a caller number 3 right now. You win tickets to go see Carolina and A&M. 7:30 kickoff Saturday night. Williams-Brice is, of course, sponsored by our buddies at Honda Power. And we have this little cool sounder that we play. Watch this.
Call now to win Gamecocks tickets right here. 803-404-6100.
Sponsored by Carolina Honda Powerhouse, your source for Honda Power Sports, ATVs, motorcycles, side-by-sides, and generators.
From your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
And also, we will be talking more Aggies and Gamecocks coming up next. Gamecock Central Takeover. Terry Ford hanging in for Pearson. Wes and Chris are here. We go till noon. 107.5 The Game.
The Halftime Show with Jay Phillips and Terry Ford.
Noon to 3.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required. Refund available for 60 days after purchase.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. You'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. Results are guaranteed or your money back. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
I can walk again. I can cross my legs again. I can wear heels again.
After years of living with chronic joint pain, Andrea Southard is now living a normal life, pain-free, thanks to natural biologic treatments at QC Kinetics.
We tried everything. And my husband had heard the commercial for QC Kinetics on the radio, and he told me to call him and check it out.
That phone call changed Andrea's life. QC Kinetics used powerful natural biologics to treat her aching joints. It's high-tech precision medicine that can restore and repair damaged joint tissue with no surgery and no drugs, providing lasting relief.
I felt like I was in my 20s again. I could tie my own shoes. Really the little things that you don't think about.
Pain in your hips, knees, back, shoulders? Get rid of the pain now. Call QC Kinetics.
803-281-6860. That's 803-281-6860. QC Kinetics. 803-281-6860.
Do you struggle with occasional nerve aches in your hands or feet? Try Nervive Nerve Relief from the world's #1 nerve care company. Nervive tablets contain alpha-lipoic acid to relieve nerve aches, weakness, and discomfort, plus B-complex vitamins to support healthy nerve function as you age. Live life with less nerve discomfort with Nervive Nerve Relief. Learn more at nervivehealth.com. And try Nervive Pain Relieving Cream to block nerve pain signals at the source. Use as directed.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour.
Presented by Firehouse Subs. Founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler,
Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell.
On the home of the Gamecocks.
107.5
The Game.
All righty, we got our winner. Thanks for calling. We appreciate you if you gave us a ring. Michael Dawkins wins the tickets for A&M and Carolina. Saturday Night Williams-Brice, 7:30. Gamecock Central Takeover. Terry Ford hanging for Pearson. Wes and Chris are here. All right, Marcus Satterfield, we played a little bit of Sat talking about the offense and how it's evolving. And then Marcus also expounded upon Marshawn Lloyd and how Lloyd here in the last month has blown up and really become the focal point of the offense. Here's Sat as soon as I hit the button.
Well, they've gotten some, got some reps at practice and got some game reps that maybe they wouldn't have gotten if Christian would have been healthy. So I think that'll help you down the road. Christian's fighting his way back and, be glad to get him back out there just, for the 1-2 punch. So Juju's not having to be, that continually second back, and he can get out there and do some other things on the perimeter. So, Dante, I think, has come in and done some really nice things. The last game got some reps and then, he keeps improving in practice. But, just as a total room, I think, getting Juju or getting CBS back is going to be huge.
Okay, so there's 2 cuts sitting next to each other, and I'm reaching over here to hit the button while I'm trying to talk on the microphone, and I hit the wrong cut. That is Marcus Satterfield talking about the other running backs behind Marshawn Lloyd when Christian Beal-Smith gets back healthy, and obviously Juju getting run. But we'll focus on Lloyd again.
Yep.
With this offense running through him, and the fact that Texas A&M is 115th in the nation versus the run, I believe they give up 4.66 yards a rushing attempt. And you think about this for a minute. Yeah, they're young up front, and that's a thing. But, of course, they've got 75 stars on the defensive line at A&M. So it's a really weird defense this year because some of the metrics are really good, and some of the metrics are so bad you go, what's up with that? But their overall defensive efficiency rating, I believe, is top 15 in the SP+. So you can run on them, I guess what we're saying. You're tough to score on them. Tough to throw against them, but you can run on them. And last time I checked, this offense is better when they're turning around and handing it to Marshawn Lloyd. So there's something here, right, fellas? I guess is what I'm getting to.
There's something. What's weird is like Terry said, I mean, average yard per rush allowed, terrible. Total rushing yards allowed per game, pretty terrible. They've only allowed 3 rushing touchdowns this year. Like that. And if you look at it down there where you have it set up where all the other teams that are bad at stopping the run are sort of all jumbled together, for context, Auburn has given up 19 rushing touchdowns this year. God. Vanderbilt has given up 15. Mississippi State has given up 11. Point being, all the other teams that are down there with them as far as not being able to stop the run have given up double-digit touchdowns. South Carolina's given up 10 rushing touchdowns this year for context. Only 3, which could be a statistical anomaly where maybe there just haven't been very many goal line situations. Maybe they've just given up passing touchdowns instead. But if you look at their overall numbers, they really have not given up a ton of points, which it just feels kind of like the Kentucky game in that this could be, a 21-17. Whoever gets to, let's take the number from earlier. What do you say? They've barely scored 24, I guess was the most they've scored in a game.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever gets to 24 probably has a really good chance to win this game, I think.
It feels like, again, I don't gamble because I'm broke and poor, but if I did, I'd take the under. I feel like the under is the play here in this game. And going to what Wes just said, Chris, it could be an anomaly, the lack of rushing touchdowns against them. It could be a lack of opportunity for the other team. Maybe A&M this has been a much better defense as you get closer to their goal line, whatever. Their stats are just weird on defense because some are so good and some are not so good.
I think what that actually illustrates, and I think watching their games backs this up, is just its inconsistency. And Jimbo talked about that on Monday. When you look at eye test their front seven, they look really good. I mean, they are impressive. It's a bunch of former, like you said, it's a bunch of top 100 guys and 4 and 5 stars, and a lot of them are young. They're first or second year players. Now, they have some mixed in that have a lot of experience. Antonio Johnson, their nickel, one of the best players in the conference. I mean, he's really, really good. Fadil Diggs, monster, caused 2 fumbles against Alabama. Their linebackers, they've got some guys that have some experience, but they're inconsistent. Sometimes if they shoot the right gap, you're in trouble. If they don't, you got a chance for a big run. And, something's going to give here. South Carolina, we know, has to have success on the ground. We were talking about this during the break. Like, you look how the last 3 games have gone, but in particular, last 2, I mean, West had the stat, South Carolina gets behind 41-0 before you blink combined in those 2 games. First half last season could not have gone worse for South Carolina. You give up a 95-yard punt return touchdown after your first possession. And here's a really bad statistic they have to make sure they don't even come close to repeating. Longest run in the first half last year, 8 yards. And it was Zeb Nolan.
I was about to say, was it a QB scramble?
It was Zeb Nolan on like a 2nd and 16. So other than that, it was a lot of loss of yards, 2 yards. There's like a 4 sprinkled in here and there for Juju McDowell. Lloyd didn't get going in that game. So this is an area they've got to improve a lot. And so I think there are some plays to be had there. Like, you look back at what they've done this season, they do create some negative plays because they're very talented, but they also get out of gaps sometimes, and you can block them. And so that's what South Carolina is going to have to do in this game.
All right. And as we look at this real quick, remember the cut the wrong cut I played. What the heck? Let's talk about that real quick. The depth. I mean, Christian Beal-Smith, it would be nice to have Christian Beal-Smith healthy and 100% to kind of give you that second back to get some carries. And so Lloyd isn't, the usage rate isn't off the charts, even though we want to see Lloyd, with 20 to 25 touches. Christian Beal-Smith, Juju McDowell is a change of pace in space. They do have some depth pieces here that can help as well, right?
They do, and I think the interesting thing with what Chris just said is that when you said that they're a team that can get bounced out of their gaps, but also if they are correct in their gaps, they can really hurt you. This is the Carolina offense in the running game that we've seen have a bunch of negative plays, but also have a bunch of chunk plays as well. So I think who can be the most consistent, whether it's their run defense or a Carolina run offense, probably is going to be the key to this game. Because we saw, I mean, that 4th and 2 where they went for it against Kentucky, there were like 5 guys in the backfield. So they've allowed too many negative plays, but they've also had success running the football. So what's going to give there will be very curious to see.
All right, Gamecock Central. You guys have this website, right? GamecockCentral.com, I've heard of.
We do.
Yeah.
It has been around since 1998, actually.
Look at that. And there's stuff. I mean, Wes has already posted 3 articles while we did this show. So you can go there, get all the content you want. Dude, it's good hanging out with you. We do this every now and then just so I can
Yep.
remind myself that I have no idea what I'm doing on this side of the glass, hitting buttons.
Let's give a shout out to our buddy Josh Yeoman. Josh, we gave away the tickets, man.
They're gone, Josh.
we
Quit
did.
texting us. You know what? I'm going to block him and get a restraining order.
If he would listen to the show, he would know that we gave them away.
Yeah. Hey, Josh, listen. Wes, Chris, thanks, fellas. That's our Gamecock
Appreciate it,
Central Takeover Hour. Pierce will be back with the guys tomorrow. Halftime show coming up next on 107.5 The Game.
Celebrating our 15th anniversary. It's Columbia's Sports Talk Station. Sponsored by Lexington Orthopedic.
Spooky season is here, and there's nothing scarier than dingy, dirty, crunchy carpet under your feet. Trust no one other than the cleaning experts at Zerez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning to save your home from the dirt monsters. With over 1,900 Google reviews and a 4.9 star rating, Zerez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning is the most highly reviewed cleaning company in the Midlands. Take advantage of their fall sale going on now. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $119 when you mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game. Schedule your cleaning online, ZerezColumbia.com.
Do you struggle with occasional nerve aches in your hands or feet? Try Nervive Nerve Relief from the world's #1 nerve care company. Nervive tablets contain alpha-lipoic acid to relieve nerve aches, weakness, and discomfort, plus B-complex vitamins to support healthy nerve